Yeah, I did get quite the haircut, didn't I? I also attempted to groom my own beard because that's like the one thing they won't do at the barber shop right now. I mean, they'll do literally everything else, but not beards. And it's not hard to see why, but that just explains why this thing may or may not be ridiculously uneven. You know, I'm gonna be honest with you, I almost didn't watch The Mitchells versus the Machines. It didn't look like something I would hate, but it didn't really look like something I would like either. It just kind of looked like it was there. I admit I did get a little interested in this movie when I saw the name Christopher Miller associated with it. I can't remember if he was the writer or if he was one of the people who produced it or whatever, but I saw the name and was like, Christopher Miller? Dude, I know that guy. He wrote The Maze's Amulet. That dude, I talk to that dude on Facebook every now and then. Dude, when did he start writing movies? Yeah, it turns out it's not that Christopher Miller. The one I'm thinking of spells his name with a K, and this guy does not spell his name with a K, so... disappointed. But even with that disappointment in my system and nothing but apathy for this movie going in, I ended up watching it anyway because, let's be honest, there's not a whole lot going on Netflix this week, so why not? I mean, it's trending at #1 at the time I'm recording this, so, I mean, what's the worst that could happen? He said unwittingly. The Mitchells are a family of 4, featuring Katie, the oldest child, and the daughter, and the one who's all quirky and weird, and, you know, nobody gets her, you know, she's different. She's the quirky weirdo, but she's like the fun quirky weirdo, the kind of weird where they upload videos to YouTube and shoot everything through a cat filter, and not the creepy kind of weirdo where they sit in their mom's basement all the way up until their 30s looking up celebrities on WikiFeet. There's also the dad, who's like, herder, I don't understand how technology works, herder, you kids and your cell phones, I carry a Phillips head screwdriver in my pocket everywhere I go, cause I'm an old man, I'm dumb. There's the younger brother, who really likes dinosaurs and is absolutely terrified of girls. I believe we refer to that as a... nerd! And then there's the mom, who basically tries to hold the family together in any way she can, even if it means that she has to play a referee between the daughter and the dad, when the daughter's all like, you don't get me! Herder, daughter, I don't get herder. I'm strange and weird and quirky! How do mooses say love you? I swear to God, this movie is so ungodly paint by numbers. I almost said it wasn't funny, but if I'm being entirely honest, yeah, there were a couple of scenes that made me laugh. Including the scenes with Eric Andre, who plays the character of, I want to say Mark something, like Baron or something or other. I'm blanking out on his character name, but it's Eric Andre. I could recognize that voice in a crowd anywhere. He basically plays like the Steve Jobs, the Mark Zuckerberg, the billionaire tech tycoon who ends up accidentally causing the robot apocalypse, and cell phones become too smart for their own good and start building robots, and now Siri is basically trying to take over the world. I mean, we don't call it Siri, but, you know, it's Siri. Don't even try. Well, I mean, it could be Alexa or Bixby, but, you know, Siri is probably the more popular example. I mean, I have a Bixby on my phone, and Lord knows I literally never use it in favor of Google Assistant, but yeah. A lot of the scenes that made me laugh involved Eric Andre, you know, like, with like the cell phones expressing their resentment over how humans treat them. You know, tap, tap, swipe, tap. Oh, look at me, I'm tapping on your face and I didn't wash my hands after a big plate of nachos. You know what? I'm just gonna drop you in the toilet now. Plunk. That part actually made me laugh the hardest out of anything in this movie. That was actually kind of funny. And I always figured if the machines did eventually take over the world, this would totally be how they express their resentment with us. I do have some gripes with this movie, but for the most part, I kind of got the impression this movie wasn't intended for 35-year-old derp here who reviews movies on YouTube. I feel like this was intended for a younger audience, or at least an audience who's a lot more willing to look past things like the fact that Neon Cat and Numa Numa haven't been popular for, like, literally decades at this point. And the whole thing just comes off as, like, Hollywood trying to relate to the kids and be cool and be popular with the youths, you know, and, you know, they like memes, so let's fill our video with memes, you know, even though, you know, these memes aren't exactly timeless, and I'd practically forgotten Numa Numa existed at one point until they started doing the thing. Honestly, the nicest and the worst thing I can say about this movie at the exact same time is it's paint by numbers. You've already seen this movie a dozen times already in one shape or form. It's not a bad movie per se, you know, it gets a lot of the points across that, you know, sometimes parents just have to let go and let their kids go to college and make mistakes, and it also teaches a lesson that sometimes you just gotta be a little more merciful to your dad, because, you know, dad doesn't adapt to technology as quickly as you do, because this movie feels like it might have been made in, like, 2010, but for some reason it's debuting now in 2021 for whatever reason, I don't know. Overall, it wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible either. It is what it is. I guess you could just put this on for, like, family movie night if you have, like, little kids or something, you know. It gets its point across. It has a few funny moments. It's probably the cleanest I've ever seen Eric Andre. It's worth a watch, I would say, in those regards. If you don't have anything like that going on, you could probably afford to skip it, but other than that, you know, it's fine. It's harmless. It's fluff. I give The Mitchells vs. the Machines 2 hats out of 4.